And what Israel did was mainly not to illegally abduct us in international waters and abuse us in prison. And this is a blatant violation of international humanitarian and maritime law.
So apparently Israel tortured Greta Thunberg. That's the new headline flying around social media. Every single one of these claims traces back to activist testimonies from the flotilla that tried to breach Israel's blockade. There are no independent investigators. It's just activists who were detained after knowingly violating maritime law. And when you read the reports closely, they admit that there's no verified medical evidence, no photographs, and no independent third-party confirmation of the alleged abuse. It's just word-of-mouth stories passed between the small, same group of activists who are on these flotillas. The Israeli court records, yes, the actual legal documents, show that Greta Thunberg never filed any complaint of mistreatment or abuse during her hearing or deportation. The Israeli Foreign Ministry has actually publicly stated that detainees were given food, water, medical care, and legal counsel. But the stories themselves don't even line up. They don't make sense. One activist said Greta was dragged by her hair. Another said she was forced to wear and kiss an Israeli flag. And others said that she was just in a dirty cell with bed bugs. So which is it? There's such an insane variation of degree here. So when narratives shift this much and none of it is backed by verifiable proof, that's a red flag. These activists sailed towards a closed military zone knowing they'd be detained. They've tried it before, and every single time they've turned their arrest into a media propaganda campaign against Israel. Under international maritime law, specifically the San Remo Manual on international law applicable to armed conflicts at sea, a state engaged in an armed conflict has the legal right to enforce a naval blockade if three conditions are met. Firstly, it's publicly declared and notified to all relevant parties. Secondly, it's applied impartially, meaning it blocks all ships equally, not selectively. And thirdly, it's intended to prevent contraband like weapons from reaching an enemy. Israel meets all three. The blockade on Gaza has been formally declared since 2007, repeatedly reaffirmed and even upheld as legal by the United Nations Panel of Inquiry in 2011, the Palmer Report, which found that the blockade was consistent with international law. The same report also made it clear that attempting to breach a legal naval blockade, or a legal blockade at all, even under the pretext of humanitarian aid, gives the enforcing state the right to intercept and detain those vessels. Boarding and detaining these activists is not a violation of international law, it is a direct application of international law. And we shouldn't forget that Israel actually offered, as it has in every flotilla case, to inspect and deliver the humanitarian aid through official crossings. And the activists have continually refused that offer, and that's the key, because they're not trying to help Gazans as much as they are trying to embarrass Israel by forcing a confrontation. You can't call it a humanitarian mission when you reject every legal route for aid delivery. Why would you do that if your goal is to help the people?